that's a little taste of Night Dreamer, their new EP called Treasure, which you can pick up on Bandcamp and listen everywhere. And we're playing that because I'm going to have a guest today. And it's my buddy Jeff Schroeder. He's going to be here, or we're going to be virtually here. Jeff is my friend and a great guitar player. Plays in Night Dreamer, and he also plays guitar in the Smashing Pumpkins. And he and I have a band together called the Lassie Foundation. And so we're going to have a chat in just a little bit. I'm going to play some songs, and then we'll have a chat. I want to remind you guys, I'm auctioning off. Where is it? The test pressing. So there's a test pressing of, well, what is it a test pressing of, you might ask? It's a test pressing of my new record called Two Ghosts. It's available now. And this is a test pressing that I received from the manufacturer. And so we are auctioning off this vinyl, and the winning bid, all the money is going to go to buy PPE for medical professionals, a charity that we're going to send that money to. And so thank you everybody for your bids. And this is the last moments after the interview with Jeff. Then we'll close the bidding and announce the winner. And so this is your last chance to get your bids in, all that. So I hope everybody is doing what Gavin says and meeting the moment. And let's see what else. And if you haven't heard any of these songs that I'm playing and stuff, this is where you can find most of them. They're somewhere in the discography, but they will soon be available everywhere, as Jeff and I will be talking about in a little bit. called Good Times Coming My Way. And then this is a song, that's never been played live or in any sort of live situation. This is another Lassie Foundation song called Hero, and it's on our record called the El Dorado LP. And this one is actually kind of like the lead vocals were sung by Julie Martin, and we sort of duetted it, I guess. So it goes something like this. Hey lover, you've got far to go. Don't rest your weary head on the sorrow. You're not alone. Hey lover, don't... What is the next line? Shit, I can't remember. Hey lover, don't let them get you down. Soft winds are blowing soon right to your town. Your town. I know it's hard to be that person you need to be. Take a look inside at the hero gone to sleep. Do, 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 Hey, mystery, I've got my defenses down. Please bring one beautiful thing right to my town. To my town. Hey lover, please hold that hurricane. I've lost my healing tears in the pouring rain. I need my heart again. I know it's hard to be that person you need to be. Take a look inside at the hero gone to sleep. Gone to sleep. Gone to sleep. Gone to sleep. Messed that one up, which means I need to take another sip of my drink. This is a beautiful red wine from Au Bon Climat, and it's Pinot Noir from Santa Maria Valley, from Bien Nacido Vineyard, which is a fantastic place and beautiful place. Anyway, cheers. One more, and then we'll talk to Jeff. We might have to do a little technological trickery to try to make that happen. So please bear with me. I've played this song also before, but not in a long time, and someone requested it, so this is for them. This one is called I'm Stealin' to Be Your One in a Million. I dream of you every breath. I'll try not to press. I know you saw me. I heard you say, what a mess. I'm stealing to be your one in a million. I'm stealing to be your one in a million. I So let's see if we can use this technology and bring Jeff on. Hopefully I will be able to hear him. Let's see how this works. There's that, and then there's that, and then we're waiting for Jeff, and it says connecting. Oh, what's up?
Hey, there I am. Hey, everybody.
What's up, man?
Now we
Oh,
got
wait.
tech.
Oh, I see. It's like
Got the
that.
pro.
But
You got
like,
the.
let's see. How do I?
Yeah, you got to
Oh, I got to
reverse
switch
it. Yeah.
this. There.
There we go. You got the pro gig.
Yeah, real pro. Super
No,
pro
I know.
gig.
That's why I was wondering. I'm like, okay, we got to go reverse. I don't understand why it's got to be like that. Like, why when it's the camera's facing this way, like I play guitar left-handed and the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, I don't get it
I
either.
don't know.
It's really
Yeah, I
strange.
don't know.
It's like, I mean, who wants to look like they're, backwards? It's really
I
strange,
don't know. I don't get it. Yeah, so
Ugh, sorry, it's hot. You have to
yeah.
have a light on, like right on your face.
Stage stage lights. Now you know how David Lee Roth felt. You know what I mean? I'm reading this book on Van Halen, and he was like, it gets like 108 degrees on stage, and that's only by song two. He's like, that's why I got into this business. You know what I
Actually,
mean? So,
there's a question about Van Halen from our buddy Alex Parnell. He
okay.
asks he asks, is Van Halen's "And the Cradle Will Rock" the most average song of all time? Like all songs that are better than that are good songs, and all songs below that are really bad songs.
Wow, I mean, I never even thought about it that in depth. I mean, to be honest, it's that album in general is not one of my go-to Van Halen listens. That's on Women and Children First, And apparently, the thing is like that. Everybody thinks, I guess, that that's a guitar, but apparently, it's like electric piano through the Marshalls,
Oh wow!
like the main thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm not gonna definitely not gonna fight for that tune in the Van Halen catalog. I would definitely have to go other places. So I'm not. Yeah, I think I would pick a lot of Hagar era material
Well,
before
but
that
but,
one.
but is it quintessentially average? You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, I don't know about anything. I would say no because I still think the magic of that band is so not average. That
mm-hmm.
even if they do an average song, they get the pass because they're so kick ass.
Yeah, especially early.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
mean, that kind of magic, it's hard to come by these days. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
totally. I see Herb
yeah.
Fitz Van Halen one all day.
I like it too. I like that. But I like 5150.
Really?
0812, for unlawful carnal knowledge. But I mean, I like it all. I do. I really do. You know what I mean?
Wow. Even the what's his name?
Oh, Gary Sharon.
Yeah, Gary Sharon. Yeah, yeah. Can you get
You
on
know,
that?
I gotta say that's pretty. It's like it's pretty bad. I don't want to say. Yeah, I don't like to talk bad about anybody, but that was. I think it's just a weird era, and probably it was probably hard for Gary to be like, like try to make sense. I mean, that's a hard gig to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
our buddy Dave, he's talking. He just throws out Doctor Feelgood just out of the clear blue sky.
Dr. Feelgood.
You know.
Um, you know, uh, I mean, there's some great tunes on that, and Tommy Lee played on a Pumpkins record not that long ago.
Yeah. What was that like?
Tommy's awesome. I mean, we were working on the songs in the studio, and it was like we were just kind of like playing a riff, like some heavy guitar thing, and we're like, man, like Tommy Lee would sound so kick ass. Like he would, because we wanted that kind of LA strut groove. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? You know what I mean? Like, well, basically he invented that kind of thing. And so, Billy was like, I got his number. I'll hit him up right now. And he like wrote back within like minutes and was like, yeah, I'm totally down. Send me some tunes. And then we sent him some demos and he was like, I'm in, and he was cool. And, I'll never forget, they played Chicago on their farewell tour, and I mean, it was packed. There was like it was kind of like a Irvine Meadows kind of place, you know, with the outdoor amphitheater with the big lawn, and I think there was like 25,000 people there. I mean, it was jam packed, so many people, and you know, we had just got the mixes, and so we brought it for him to listen. So after the show, we went to his dressing room, and he had like this crazy road case with like a massive stereo, like that was literally like a club PA. I'm not kidding. And he just cranked it so loud and was
Wow.
just like, you know, so into it. And I mean, it's a pretty surreal experience for me, like sitting there on a couch and he's like shaking my shoulders, like, dude, we fucking made this out. Can you fucking believe? You know, he's like, Tommy's like really, really energetic guy. You know what I mean? And it's just a total sweetheart, like really, really, really nice, really cool. And so it was awesome. Yeah,
Mm,
I mean, it was just, you know, to hear, you know, my guitar against his drums is like, okay, that's pretty cool. That's
yeah,
that's that's a neat thing.
that's rad.
He was absolutely, yes, I see it. Herb asked, was he air drumming while listening? Absolutely, he was, like a ton. A ton, a ton.
So,
He was.
so I know you and I have talked like a long time ago, just briefly about The Dirt, about how much you loved that book. Did you see the movie?
I did, I
Cooler
did, I
Lane.
did.
Cooler Lane.
I have to say lame.
I
You
agree.
know what I mean? I have to say it, you know what I mean? But, you know, but I didn't love it, you know, but I mean, it really sparked a rejuvenation in their career. I mean, you
Totally.
know, I mean, they're like bigger than ever. I mean, which is crazy, you know. But you know, they deserve it. You know, I mean, I mean, to stay in the game that long and to go through all those ups and downs. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And you know, when I saw them live, like I'd actually never seen them live, and so to see it, I mean, it's an amazing show. I mean, it sounds great. That you know, they play great, and it's cool. It was great.
That's rad. That's so cool.
Mhm.
So let's so what have you been doing, you know, ever since all this mess started? What have you been up to? How you been spending your time?
Mostly just working on a lot of music,
Hmm.
playing a lot of guitar. I mean, obviously, I was supposed to be tonight. I think we were supposed to be Pumpkins were supposed to be headlining the Shaky Knees Festival in Atlanta, Georgia. But yeah, I mean, it's honestly, you know, it's like weird, like from today to think about like what am I doing? But you know, you know, when it first happened, I really honestly thought in my mind like, okay, it's going to be a couple weeks. I'm not like a huge news reader. I don't, you know what I mean? So I had kind of heard about it and you know, but I didn't really think too deeply about it. But then once it started becoming more of a reality, it's like, wow, like, and every day I still like, I'm trying to kind of calibrate, like, what am I doing? You know, how am I experiencing this? And it's like, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day. It's kind of like when you put in new software on your computer and you're like, at first it says like, oh, this will take 40 minutes. And then it's like 2 hours. And then
Right.
like three, you know, because it's like, it's got to calibrate like how long this is all going to take. And so I think for a musician now, it's, you realize there's not going to be any shows probably anytime soon. You know what I mean? And it's literally, as far as from my understanding, talking to our managers and whatnot, like it's literally day to day, like, you know, just seeing kind of what happens in other parts of the world, as certain countries start opening up and trying to think about like, well, can we have festivals at the end of the summer or is that too soon? Or so, but I think we're going to be kind of sitting here for a while. So I've been just working on a ton of new music. So actually today I was working, just finishing up a remix for Stranger Kings that
Oh yeah.
Eric asked me to do. So that's coming out really cool. Been totally fun. It's like, not really like super like I do remixes, but he, you know, he'd asked me, and but my computer recording chops have gotten much better since the time he asked me before. So after sitting there for a few minutes and going like, what the heck am I gonna do, you know, and then just start kind of deconstructing the song and going like, well, I'm just gonna produce this like how I would want to hear it, and just totally did my own thing. And yeah, so that's been fun. And then with Night Dreamer, we just had to figure out a way to work remotely, and obviously not being able to be in the same room and rehearse and record and stuff is been the challenge. But we're all good enough on the laptop that we've been able to exchange files, and so we've recorded 2 new songs that are like recorded, mixed, even mastered, because I wanted this before, because nowadays, like, even like sending anybody anything, like even from management, like they don't understand, like, this isn't the final mix,
Yeah.
this isn't or this is a demo. So I've just learned to not send anything out. If you're going to send someone something before it's out, they have to hear it like it would be if it was out, because they can't
Right.
go like, well, the mix is going to be different, like, because they just bum out or whatever. So so I actually had the 2 songs. But we'll have an announcement. I don't want to disclose, like, we worked with a different producer this time and came out really, really awesome, but it'll be more of an announcement. So when that happens, something very cool that's going to be coming out soon, and there'll be more of an announcement about this too, is we actually did a hypnosis album with a friend of mine is a hypnotherapist.
Oh, wow.
And so we decided that we thought it would be something cool to do, well, for this time, that could be useful to people to have some type of tracks where they could listen to that would help them maybe sort out through some of the mental things they're going through during this period and beyond. And I really, my friend Jamie, he just does cool stuff, and I was watching all his, him and I have had a chance to have some conversations about stuff, and I'm kind of into some of that things too. So we connected on just talking about books and different writers that he was into that are in that field. And then I just thought, that would be cool to do an album of, because of kind of guided tracks. And I think we're going to end up doing more. Like, this is kind of, we've done volume 1. And but it's cool because, like, on a musical level, you can't really do too much because you don't want it to be ultra distracting to the listener as they kind of go into this
All right.
level of hypnosis. So it's cool. It's more like doing like just really drony Eno-esque Robert Fripp ambient music. And so it's really fun, and it's something that we can do literally just sharing files. It's pretty minimal, but it came out really, really well. We just, I finished doing those mixes the other day, and I was really, really pleased. So that's something that we'll put out pretty soon. And I think that we'll probably just do it just on Bandcamp or something, because we just want people to be able to have it.
Yeah.
And if they obviously have the funds to make a donation, that's great. But if they don't, we want them to use the tracks, because there's one that's about like building like your natural immune system and stuff like that. So, but I think it's, I really think it could be useful to people. Yeah. So then that SPE world, Billy just started working. We have a new record coming out sometime this year. Obviously that's all kind of up in the air, but that has 20 songs on it. It's like a double album.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we finished that like, I don't know, like early February or so. It was kind of finished recording, then kind of mixed in February out. Yeah, end of February or so. And so that's done, but because of this, he started working on even another album. So once, obviously it's, we can't really be together and stuff. So he's kind of putting the songs together and building some tracks up. And so hopefully we'll all be able to get together at some point and kind of finish that. But there's new music there. So, I mean, and just, that's about it. I mean, so it's been good. I mean, I have to say, like, it gets hard not to be like out in the world. And I really miss doing like simple things like going to a coffee shop or a bookstore or a record store and just kind of, hanging out. I mean, I spend a lot of time in a room doing music anyway, so that's not too different, but it's like you can't really get too much of a break from that. But obviously it's kind of a no-brainer, and it's for the good of the world and for all the people out there trying to make sure people don't get sick. And so
Totally.
I can't really complain about it, you know. Yeah.
Cool. So also, our band Lassie Foundation is doing. We're remastering our whole catalog, and so
Yeah.
that's exciting. Actually, Andy Prickett just came by today. We were distanced, but but he came by and dropped off all these digital audio tapes.
Awesome.
It turns out that they do have we do have the masters of like California and Pacifico. It looks like from the listing on the cassette, on the tape, it says something like, take 2, take 3, or alternate mix and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what all is on those tapes.
Yeah. So for people that don't necessarily know, Wade and I, a long time ago, were in a band together called the Lassie Foundation, and we existed pre-digital media, really. And so, and some of our stuff was released on very small independent labels that don't really exist anymore, or self-released, and so it's never been in all one place. And so we've kind of taken upon ourselves finally, like, okay, like we need to have this stuff out there, so people who are interested, who are either reading about Wayne through your new record, who are discovering you for the first time and want to dig into your history, or people like with me through Pumpkins or Night Dreamer, like, oh, you were in this other band too. It's just sad that the music is not available to people. So I'm really excited that we finally, okay, like we need to get that stuff out there. And so I'm excited about doing that. And I'm glad that we're able to find the actual masters, because if we want to do now like a vinyl reissue of Pacifico or something like that,
Yeah.
or it would sound much better. So that's exciting.
Totally. Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of cool stuff in there, and you know, like one by one, those little small labels kind of removed our stuff from all of the streaming services, and so now we're just really excited that that we're going to be able to have that music out there. And the remaster is going to be done by Christopher Colbert up up at Number Station up in Oregon, and
And Chris has been he mastered your new record. He did the Night Dreamer stuff. He just the Treasure EP, and he just did the 2 new songs, which sound like insane. It's so cool. Yeah, so I'm excited. And he mixed Pacifico.
Yeah, he mixed Pacific.
So it'd be awesome for him to remaster those things. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I can't wait. I just want to get the stuff transferred digitally and then sent up to Chris so he can start working on it. So I'm really stoked.
Cool.
So here's some more questions that some more questions. Oh, here's along the same line related question. So there's someone wants to hear about the story of recording the song "Under the Moon." "Under the Moon" is basically on the last release that we did in 2008 called the Three Wheels EP, which I think is one of the only things you can still find on.
Yeah, strangely, yeah.
But so "Under the Moon" it's a long. Well, it's a jam. It's a jam.
It is.
Let's see. How did we record that? I'm trying to remember.
Well, we did it at Northern,
Yeah.
out in Yorba Linda, and I mean, we recorded 3 songs for that EP. I think that one, 3 Wheels, and the other one, the Blue Shuffle one. I can't remember what it's called.
Jet Streams.
Jet Streams.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just got together. I mean, we didn't really do it much differently than we ever did in the past, except using, the computer makes things go much faster than doing things on tape, and much more forgiving as far as fixing some performance issues.
Yeah.
But
Totally.
yeah, but it was fun. I mean, that was basically the classic lineup, except not Frank. Joel Patterson played drums.
That's right. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, yeah. So, but
I just happen to have handy
there
CD of it.
it is. Yeah.
Whoa.
There it is in all its glory. There's only 3 songs on it?
Only 3 songs.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't really, a functioning band at that point. I was just had gotten back from my first big tour with the Pumpkins, and so it was like, had a few months off, and we're like, hey, let's do something. Yeah, and that's all it was. It's kind of like a one-off thing. I mean, really, like, just, I think, what it was, if I remember, we played Kevin Bronson's birthday party.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it his 50th?
I think it might have been. Yeah.
Might have been his 50th birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think we were getting together. And then we decided, well, since we're getting together, we might as well work on some new songs. So that's actually good that someone asked that question, because I would have never really remembered or thought about it too much.
I know. Long time ago.
Oh, there he is. Buzz Band 50, correct. No,
Yeah.
you should have said Kevin or whoever's beyond it. You should have said that's his 30th birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a bunch of questions asking about Smashing Pumpkins and how you became a member and what's it like working with them, and has Billy listened to the Lassie Foundation? What did you think, and all that kind of stuff?
Well, he saw the band. We played. He saw me play at Spaceland.
Yeah.
Was the first and only time he saw me play with Lassie, because we didn't really play too much after that. So he has heard the band. And I got in the band because Jason 71, our bass player, knew someone who was working at their management company, and he hit me up one day just out of the blue, like, hey, they're looking for someone. They're reforming, and James and Darcy aren't coming back at this point, and blah, 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 blah. And so he said, I really think you should do this. And I mean, you know me, I wasn't like a gigger type musician, like to go and like audition for bands. So it's something I'd never done. But obviously this was something that I really wanted to do. And so he had a contact at their manager, like the manager's email. So I sent the manager like a bio and whatever, some tunes. And of course, because I was such a fan of the band and kind of as a guitar player, kind of started playing guitar around the same, Billy's a few years older than me, you know what I mean? But I think that we kind of came of age in the same era of guitar. And so I kind of knew like the right influences and stuff to put down, like, so they would be like, wow, I gotta, this is the guy. And luckily, Tatiana was working for the band too, doing, she was, I guess at the time, I don't know what that position would be called, but it was like, at that time, every band still had like an actual website. Then you needed to have someone that actually did the web content, which
this is our
really
friend
don't do.
Tatiana Simonian.
Yeah. And so she was able to be like, oh yeah, because obviously she knew me. And so I was able to get to the front of the line very quickly. And so I was actually the very first person they auditioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was the first guitar player. I think Jimmy had auditioned Tony Kanal from No Doubt on bass, before that.
Wow.
And Tony really, and I really wanted to be in the band, but Jimmy, they're kind of like, Tony, and he's an amazing bass player, but they were like, you're going to go back to No Doubt, So, yeah. And then Ginger was, who ended up, our friend, Ginger Pooley now, but Ginger Reyes back then. She was one of the early people to audition to, and then yeah, and so
Well,
it got the band, and so I know people always I saw because I saw some of the questions, and to be honest, like overall, I think the fact it's just really easy to say I've been in the band for almost 14 years now, which is hard to believe, you know what I mean? So if it's been a wonderful, amazing journey, you know what I mean? And I've got to do things and play shows and work with producers and stuff that I never would have dreamed of ever doing. And the I hate, I really don't like to get overly sentimental like this, in bands, like, where they talk about like it's a family. But, we've, after, that many years, and going through, so many ups and downs, because no matter where you are on the roller coaster, there's still, peaks and valleys. And it's just, I'm very lucky and very fortunate. And everybody, you know, the, you know, with families and kids and stuff, it's like, with Billy's kids, I'm like an uncle, you know what I mean? And so I really value and cherish that, and it's a really special relationship. And yeah, and now even, I think people want to often create more controversy than there really is, you know what I mean? And even with James coming, James and I have become, really good friends, and we just, people would think that, oh, maybe there would be like a weird vibe or something, but not at all. And in fact, we spend a lot of time together on tour, and we keep in touch when we're not on tour, and so it's and that was, you would have thought that would have been a difficult situation, but it's just, that's the kind of lesson you learn from life. Like, you can't project too much into something. You got to just really just take it for what it is and kind of experience it in the moment. And when you do, you realize like, oh, it's, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It's actually much better. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, let's see. Some more questions from folks. What are some of your favorite bands from the 90s?
Oh, shit. From the 90s, it's weird. Like, I don't know how, maybe because, I'm in a band, my primary, is I'm in a band that is like from, the 90s. You know what I mean? Like, I, I don't really listen to too much stuff, from the, like, it's become one of my least favorite periods of music to listen to, like when I'm at home. You know what I mean? Like I don't really listen to too much 90s music. But that being said, I mean, one of my absolute favorite bands, I know one of yours, is Medicine. Love Brad Lehner and Medicine, and you know, um, I see someone mention Curve. I do love Curve as well, and I just saw that you actually pointed out to me that their whole catalog now is available on Bandcamp, which is awesome because that wasn't. Yeah, I see someone else, Ride. I do love Ride as well, and My Bloody Valentine, and um, I wouldn't consider Sonic Youth and only a '90s band because they really started in the early '80s. So I think they're kind of, I couldn't categorize them as that, or even Dinosaur Jr., which was another band I really loved. I think was kind of really kind of more from the '80s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but yeah, those are some of the bands I like.
Another question is, what are Jeff's favorite Lassie Foundation songs?
Favorite Lassie Foundation songs. Um, what is the thing that guys and bands always, it's like trying to say what
My
kids,
children.
yeah, what kids you like, what's your favorite kid?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. No, I think I don't know about favorite songs. I would say that there's kind of, I think some like an album, like Pacifico is like a very special time and place. They kind of captured a moment in time,
Yeah.
where I think that we kind of found our own niche in that kind of shoegaze, noise pop, you know, California type of vibe that we had, which was really different. You know what I mean? That kind of wasn't. I mean, if you really listen to it, it's not too much of a like a classic shoegaze, British style shoegaze album. It's much more of like like that American stamp on things, which I think that we probably got from Medicine, you know, than My Bloody Valentine, you know, a little more like harder, aggressive, like Sonic, you know what I mean? Kind of more abrasive in your face rather than washy. You know, there's a little bit of that, but not as much as you'd think, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of my favorites. I actually listened to, well, I think, you know, a lot of this stuff on the I Dual Sue EP too. I think that came out really well, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That was just kind of a high point, you know, as well. So I really like that stuff, you know, but there's obviously, you know, I listened to Face Your Fun the other day after we were talking about Cat, you know, and man, I mean, it's not really a classy Foundation record in terms of it's like kind of a musical departure, but man, the songs are really good and the parts, and, you know, Andy Prickett produced that and he really dialed us in, right? Like everything it's like a very well thought out record, which is kind of the only time we've ever done that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
You know what I mean?
That was definitely the only record that we made that was like, you know, we had a very specific thing in mind that we wanted to do across the whole thing. Whereas like all the other records that we've done have been more like, hey, I've got this musical idea, let's jam it and see where it goes.
Yeah, see, someone must have come in late. They said, how come we can't find Lassie Foundation on Spotify? You missed that part of the discussion. We are working on it. We're actually remastering the entire catalog with Chris Colbert in Eugene, Oregon. And so hopefully starting sooner than later, once the stuff will start trickling up on all your streaming platforms, you know, so we can become rich from our catalog.
And for everyone who's just joined us or who hasn't been able to watch the whole thing, I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel a little bit later so you can watch the entire program.
www.genesimmons.com. You gotta promote, man. You gotta promote.
Yeah. I know, man. It's like we mocked him for so many years, and he was right in so many ways. It's really sick.
Oh, I mean, totally. You know, the crazy thing is, I actually, luckily, I got to meet him twice, a couple times. Once, you know, but the first time I actually met him or had a chance to meet him, I didn't, and I was actually on an airplane with him, and he sat in the row in front of me.
Wow.
And I just couldn't believe that Gene Simmons was like, right. I was on the aisle. He was in the window, so I could see him, you know, I'm like, oh my God, like it just, but I was too scared. I was too scared to even say anything. You know?
Oh man.
Because I didn't want to like have it, because, you know, sometimes like if there's someone that you really want to meet, if you don't really have like someone as a conduit to kind of, you know, it can be kind of an awkward, you know, moment. And so when I actually finally got to meet him, I was with Billy, and Billy already knew him. And so it was like great, because he was just, you know, nice to meet you, young man, kind of vibe, you know what I mean? Like,
I have a similar experience where when I was in college, I went to Pepperdine out in Malibu, and so I went to the McDonald's to get some food. I'm in McDonald's, and I'm like, and this is like in the early '90s, and I'm like, man, that lady at the counter, she looks just like Pat Benatar. I mean, just like I'm like, but she's been out of the scene for a while, you know, for a long time by then. And so I was kind of, is that her? I don't know. It's like, oh man, you know. And so I'm like, God, you know, but there's like, she's there with another woman, and they had like 5 or 6 kids between the two of them. They're kind of wrangling around and stuff. And I'm like, man, I want to go up and ask her, but it's like, I don't want to bother her. And, you know, they dealing with all those kids and stuff. God, I wish there was some kind of sign, you know? And just then, the other woman goes over to the straws, and she's like, Pat, how many did we need? And I'm like, it's her. Then I spent the next 5 minutes debating whether I should go up to her and ask for an autograph on a McDonald's napkin or something. But I didn't. I didn't bother her. Just the same kind of thing. I was just like, I don't want to, you know, be that guy.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because especially it's like she's at a McDonald's with her kids. And like, you know what I mean? You're like, hey, big fan. Big fan.
Totally. Oh, man. Okay, let's see. Well, I don't know how much time we have left, but I certainly want to make sure that I wanted to talk about Night Dreamer again real quick, because for me, listening to this EP and hearing, the way that you play on it and the way the songs
Uh-huh.
are, it feels, it's showing a little bit more of the kind of some of the more, you know, darker new wave influences,
Sure,
some
sure,
of your
sure.
metal influences and stuff. And I was wondering, in a way, I wonder, and because you have sort of in this context, you have less collaborators, you know what I mean, than you do with
Sure.
Smashing Pumpkins or Lassie Foundation or any.
Well, yeah, for sure, yeah.
So, do you feel like this is much more of like a complete expression of your playing and songwriting, that we've seen before or heard before?
I would say it's very me 2019, 2020, like what I'm into. Like I feel like, I mean, it's it's kind of my own project with Mindy. We're collaborating now. We actually have even a third member, Joe McGeary, who's kind of does keyboards and some electronic drum stuff live as well. So we're expanding into a three piece.
Cool.
But it's a different type of situation, So yeah, like the guitar is I'm able to have because I'm the only guitar player, so I'm a lot freer to explore the space the way that I want to do it. And yeah, it's kind of I want it, instead of kind of picking one lane, I really thought like I want to try and combine these things that are kind of everything that I'm into and
Mm-hmm.
not have to compromise to a certain degree, So, it's interesting because I think there's almost solos in every song, which, a lot of new music, there's like no guitar solos. And, even we played a couple months ago before, the coronavirus, we played a show at the Echoplex in LA. And, I was thinking about it. I'm like, wow, we played with like whatever four bands, and not there wasn't one other guitar solo the whole night. I'm like the only one that plays solos. You know what I mean? But it's just something that I just kind of want to do, and and luckily, Mindy's very tolerant of it, and actually she's very encouraging. Like she'll be like, let's extend it, let's make it even longer live, and so um, but yeah, I think it is a very true representation of where my musical mind is at in 2020. And it's a thing where kind of it's been very liberating having a clean palette of no baggage, because when even if it's Lassie Foundation or Smashing Pumpkins or I've seen people ask me, like Violet Burning or something, it's like you're you know um there's a legacy there, and people, the departures can't be too wide, so when you start something new, at least you have a blank slate to kind of to explore ideas. And it really wasn't easy, at first, when we started tracking all those songs. Like I didn't really, we used like regular drums, and I was playing bass, and it just it was okay. It was okay, and it sounded like when it was good at best, it sounded like a average kind of retro post punk kind of band,
Mm.
and we're just like, Mindy really wasn't like she was not vibing with that too much, so I was back in Chicago, working on Pumpkins music, and she was like, hey, do you mind if I take these tracks and work with this engineer we're working with, Andy Toy, and just kind of start playing around with programming some beats and stuff. And I'm glad that it kind of opened up a different portal. And then once we kind of found that, things started kind of falling into place. And now when I hear, the EP, it sounds like pretty, especially it's like, it's like a first effort. You're just trying to figure out what you're trying to do. it sounds like it's pretty basic, like the kind of element. There's like, programmed drums, heavy synth bass, not a lot of there's only like electric bass on like one song that Jack from the Pumpkins, Peter Hook's son, played. But a lot of it's programmed synth, and then like my kind of medicine, Brad Lehner, aggressive guitar, over the top, you know what I mean? But it took a long time to get those elements to lock in together. It wasn't like, oh, like it just happened. It was something that evolved over time until it finally like, okay. And so, but now when we work on music, there's kind of a template at least to where, a bunch of things not to do, which actually helps, but that being said, I think when people hear the new material, it's definitely a departure even from, it's like a definite extension of what's been going on, but it's definitely moving to a different area. It's even darker, if you can believe it. It's like even darker, more abrasive.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
The piece sounds rad. It's been awesome to see, like, just as we've grown in grown up in our songwriting lives, and and then watching you go and play with the Smashing Pumpkins, and then really have that platform for you to fully like express your shredding side.
Yeah, sure,
in the Lassie Foundation, even in the Violet Burning, wasn't like super. There were certain parts that allowed for some of that to happen, but I think your experience with the Pumpkins really seemed to kind of let you, kind of embrace that side and explore it, and and then of course working with somebody like Billy as a songwriter, seems like it was just a really impactful experience.
Oh, I mean, I didn't even get to mention that when, I think it's like there's so much to encompass, like being able to work with someone like with Billy and Jimmy Chamberlain and even James, it's like, they got to work with Butch Vig and Flood, and, Flood worked with Eno and Lanois on U2 records. And so there was like this kind of wealth of knowledge and education that when I was joining the band, like, wow, like I had to get up to speed like quickly, like where it was just, it's like sink or swim, but being able to see those, like that type of work process in the studio, and even on stage, like of like having to deliver at like this, high pressure level, is, it's really such a blessing. And, I think I spent, maybe the first 6 months just so nervous that I couldn't, I played a lot of rad shows in those first 6 months. Like we played, that I didn't really get to enjoy it because I was actually just trying to keep my shit together. You know what I mean? Like, so like this last summer when we went back to Europe, finally played a lot of big festivals again. It was just so, it was so enjoyable because I was just able to just go out there, feel confident in what I could do, and, know that I can do this gig, and then just enjoy, like, wow, like how cool is it to play in front of 60,000 people, you know what I mean? Just like, like, you know what I mean? Like it's like, it's cool. And then even this last record we did with the Pumpkins, being able to work with Rick Rubin, like being able to be in a room with that guy and see his process and like what he does. And
what's his thing? I mean, I've read some articles of stuff about his thing, but how is he with you guys?
Well, where he's hands-on is choosing the songs. Choosing the drum takes and the vocals. So, which tells you that for him, what's important is the structural feel of the song. And then what most people listen to, the performance of the vocal and where the vocal's emotionally going to sit within a track. And then as far as like, he's like, I'm not going to watch you guys play guitar, like take out. He's like, I know you guys got, like, I don't need to sit there and watch, you know what I mean? So, but he was there like for every vocal line, you know what I mean? And so his thing would be more like if he thought a song was good but wasn't exciting enough to him, like he'd be like, can we try a different drum group? Just classic producer stuff. But he's just the ultimate listener. He's the ultimate music fan, and he's got a good sense of, as a fan, this is what I'd want to hear.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, as a fan of Smashing Pumpkins, you know, this is what, if I was to hear a new album, this is what I want to hear. So I think he's really got a good pulse on that. And, you know, I mean, but yeah, that was like, you know, I remember a day up at at Shangri-La, his studio up in Malibu. You're like, which is not ridiculous in the first place. You're like, wow, like you look out, you can see the ocean over there. And, you know what I mean? Like, think of all the bands that have recorded there.
yeah.
And then, you know, I look around, I'm like, wow, it's like, you know, Jimmy and Billy and James and me. And then I look through the window and there's Rick Rubin through the glass. And you're just like, man, like, this is really cool. You know what I mean? This
That's
is
so.
really cool. So that, and that was a moment I was like, wow, like, you know, this is something you only get to do sometimes once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
Uh,